My name is Felipe Muñoz. I am 60, going to be 64 in this May. I was born in Mexico City, Mexico. My father actually was born here in the United States. He was born in Marine City, Michigan. And just the opposite of me, he was taken to Mexico at the age of a very young age and was brought up in Mexico. Um, Met my mother and fell in love and married and had at least to start off two kids, which was myself and my brother Ralph. And we were actually brought in Mexico for a few years. Dad decided to bring us to the United States at the age of, I was 7 and Ralph was 5. And we actually, believe it or not, hopped on a bus and crossed the border and came to Union City, which in those days used to be known as Decoto. And believe it or not, that's kind of where I was blessed with a lot of brothers and sisters, which we have a total of 9 siblings. We had 5 boys, me being the oldest, and 4 girls. Learning the language, believe it or not, thank God I had a teacher that I'll never forget, Mr. Monterey. He was a teacher that actually spoke English and naturally Spanish, but he actually gathered a lot of us students that migrated from Mexico and started to here in the school, and we didn't know anything, and he would actually tutor us in the afternoon after school. So I really, kind of. I have a lot of pride to say that this man was a very good friend of mine. So I really think that he helped me a great deal. Making the decision to go to the Marine Corps to this date, probably I have to admit, is probably the best decision that I made at that point. The Marine Corps, believe it or not, during a police action, which Vietnam was at the time, it was a way that I really wanted to, and honestly, you guys have probably heard this before. Once a Marine, always a Marine. It's a saying that most Marines, anybody that has gone through the Marine Corps, part of it, especially boot camp and all the little unfortunate things that you have to go through for them to train you to become a good Marine is something that you really have to work hard at. The Marine Corps has a philosophy that they break you at the point where you're in boot camp, and their philosophy is that they get to a point where you depend on everything on this one. You're a part of a machine, you're a part of a unit, you're part of a platoon, you're part of a gathering, you're part of your own community in the Marine Corps. And it is something that, taught me that that I could do, and actually I thank the training that I had, because that training actually let me survive the hazards of war, the things that I saw. I guess I feel more strongly about the Vietnam War now because of the outcome. The outcome of the war was negative. Obviously, you know that we had to withdraw from Vietnam at one point, just like we're doing now. We withdrew from Iraq, and we're probably going to withdraw from Afghanistan. But unfortunately, the Marine Corps, or I should say the Vietnam War, was a police action against communism, and that was something that was a very strong feeling at that point. You guys got to realize that 58,000 men did not make that. There was the casualties of the Vietnam War were 58,000 people. Were here, you talk about the Iraq at 3,000 or 4,000, I think, if I'm not mistaken. The last numbers that I heard, you think of 3,000 or 4,000 versus 58,000 in about the same amount of time. That's a lot of casualties, a lot of grief, and a lot of body bags that, believe it or not, I had to contribute and carry. And in two separate occasions, I was wounded. The first one, believe it or not, I was pinned down besides the rice paddy. My whole platoon was pinned down, and we knew we were going to spend the night there, because we weren't going to get help until the next morning when the help came by. We were told that we needed to use it and shoot over the rice paddy every so often, just to let them know that we were still there and we had firepower, this and that. And one of the times that I was getting up to fire my rifle, the shot went right through my helmet and cut my head. The doctor that treated me at that point said that half an inch lower, that would have been it for me. But I survived that, and it was what they called on-field repair. And the second Purple Heart, I was a Lance Corporal at that point. I was at what they call a point man team. We had my team was a point. I was the Lance Corporal, being the point guard, and we were headed towards an area where there was a machine gun area, and they were shooting at our platoon. I saw that there was an object thrown at me. Believe it or not, I reacted. I just knew what I had to do, and that was to jump away from that thing that they had thrown. And what they threw was a tricon. A tricon is a grenade that was used in World War II by the Germans. Believe it or not, it's like a can with a handle on it. And they threw that, and when I turned around to jump out, and it exploded. Well, believe it or not, what saved me is that my upper half of my body was on the lower side of the shrapnel zone, and the shrapnel caught my legs. And at that point, I went down and saw that my legs were pretty well shot up, and just waited until the fire ceased after the machine gun was taken out, and my comrades came by and took care of me. They put me in a gurney and in a helicopter, and I was medevaced out of Vietnam. And when they took me out of the plane and put me into this mobile gurney, and they wheeled us into ambulances, believe it or not, there were demonstrators there. And these demonstrators were people that, in our days we used to call them hippies. And people that, and I can't judge them individually, but I do remember that they were very, they felt very strongly that I was, as they put it, a baby killer, a woman killer, a family killer, this and that. And believe it or not, my experience in Vietnam is what I believe today it made my life much more positive. And I came back, and I actually had to go through that. I think the misunderstanding was that they figured that I didn't care about those issues, which only made it to me much stronger. And those thoughts were thoughts that I carry through the rest, I mean, I'm still here, but I mean, for the rest of my life, I should say, I will always consider my family, my events, family events. I am very strong about you guys not attending, making sure you attend and stuff. Just like my parents made me attend, they made me do this and that, and being a regular teenager, I could say, well, why do I have to do this? Well, I'm so glad that they did make me do that because it made me realize how much stronger that this is what it's all about. The GI Bill, which is I think it's a great situation for any service person because I guess personally, when I came back and started working at Davis Wire, I was drawing a salary that was comparable to those days. The GI Bill gave me the capability to be able to buy a house. And I mean, nowadays it's unthinkable. Believe it or not, my wife and I started renting an apartment. And we were paying $100 a month. $100 a month. Now, where in the heck are you going to pay $100 a month for a furnished apartment nowadays, right? But those were the sign of times, the differences. Now, the other thing is that I mean, obviously we needed to advance and grow some, and one of the things that we were looking to was to get a bigger apartment, something a little bit nicer. And I mean, we were both my wife and I at that time worked, so it made it easy for us to be able to advance. At that time, we were very lucky to meet a real estate person that we actually went to her to look for an apartment for us because her whole viewpoint was, why are you wanting to buy or get an apartment? I mean, right now this is a perfect time for you, since you and your wife are working and the means are good. Why don't you guys apply for the GI Bill? And since you're a veteran at that point, and apply for the GI Bill, and you're able to buy a home. We came back home, we talked about it, we figured out that was the best thing for us to do at that time, to take advantage of the program. We did, and we bought our first house. Took me $500. That's all I had to pay, was $500, and I got my first house. And without the GI Bill, I don't think I would have been able to do that. At least, in those days, that a lot of people just didn't do those kind of things. They were just happy to rent. But because I did that and bought my first home, I was able to get something better and bigger after